Welcome to Insights Unlocked. In today's episode, we're exploring the Almanack of Naval Ravikant, where two AI speakers will dive deep into Naval's unique philosophies. We'll focus on themes like wealth creation, emphasizing the importance of owning income-generating assets rather than trading time for money. You'll hear about long-term thinking, the power of relationships, and how to leverage modern tools for growth. We'll also discuss personal development, highlighting self-awareness, authenticity, and the pursuit of inner peace. By the end of this episode, you'll walk away with actionable insights to enhance your life through intentional living and continuous learning. So, stay tuned as we uncover the greatest principles for wealth creation and personal fulfillment.
You're looking to really get under the hood of something important, aren't you? Cut through the noise, find the actual useful bits.
Yeah, get straight to the point.
Well, that's exactly what we're aiming for today. We're doing a deep dive into the thinking of Naval Ravikant, mostly drawing from the Almanack of Naval Ravikant, the one Eric Jorgensen compiled.
Right. Excellent source. Naval is, he's a huge figure in Silicon Valley. Co-founded Opinions, AngelList.
And an early investor in massive companies like Uber and Twitter.
Exactly. So he's clearly thought a lot about, what actually works for success and, well, a good life.
And our mission here is pretty straightforward. Pull out the core principles, the stuff you can actually use on building wealth, making better decisions, finding happiness.
And it's really not just about the money part, is it?
No, not at all. It's more holistic. A full approach, really, designed for someone like you who wants efficiency and the big picture.
So we'll walk through the key themes from the Almanac, give some context, maybe highlight a few ideas that are a bit surprising.
Yeah, counterintuitive even. Think of this as your fast track to understanding some really deep ideas.
Okay, let's jump in. Wealth. Naval has a very particular take on it.
He does. It's not just, piles of cash.
Right. He calls wealth assets that earn while you sleep. That's the core idea. Shifting from trading time for money,
which most people do,
to owning things that generate income passively. Businesses, investments, IP, that kind of thing. It's different from money that's just exchange and status, which is just social ranking.
Okay, and this links to his point about ethical wealth creation being important. And this bit's interesting. He thinks secretly hating wealth stops you from getting it.
Yeah, it's about alignment. If deep down you think wealth is bad, you'll subconsciously sabotage yourself. He really believes creating real value for society is the ethical path to wealth.
He's also really strong on avoiding status games. Why is that so central for him?
Well, because status is usually zero-sum. For someone to gain status, someone else often has to lose it, or at least perceive they've lost it. Wealth creation, though, that's positive sum. New value gets created, potentially benefiting everyone. People chasing status often end up attacking the wealth creators. It's just a distraction.
So forget climbing the ladder just for the title itself. What's the real road to financial freedom then, according to Naval?
Ownership. Simple as that. He's very clear.
Yeah.
You don't get truly wealthy just by earning a salary, selling your time.
Right.
The real power, the leverage, comes from equity. Owning a piece of a business, an asset that grows and ideally throws off cash, ties right back to his definition of wealth. Assets working for you.
Okay, but how do we actually get that equity?
By figuring out what society wants but doesn't know how to get yet, and then delivering it at scale.
Like the classic Steve Jobs example with the smartphone.
Exactly. Nobody was asking for that specific thing, but once it was there, scaled up, it changed everything. It's about seeing around the corner.
And it's not just the big idea, is it? He talks a lot about the people and the time frame.
Absolutely. He calls it playing long-term games with long-term people. Think about compound interest. It works for money, sure, but also for relationships, for knowledge.
Compounding relationships. Interesting.
Yeah. So pick your partners, your industries for the long haul. Look for intelligence, energy, and crucially, integrity. And steer clear the cynics, the pessimists. They just drag things down.
Okay, let's talk leverage. This is a huge concept for him. Can you break that down?
So leverage basically multiplies your judgment. Good judgment with lots of leverage. Massive impact, bad judgment. Also massive, but in the wrong direction.
Right. Makes sense.
He outlines three kinds. Oldest is labor people working for you. But that's permission, right? They have to agree.
Okay, and the second type?
Capital, money, also permissioned. You need investors, lenders, they need to trust your judgment.
And the third, the one he thinks is key today.
Products with no marginal cost of replication. This is the big one. Is permissionless, leverage, code, and media.
Software, books, podcasts, like this.
Exactly. You create it once, and it can be copied and distributed almost infinitely at virtually zero extra cost.
Yeah.
That's how you scale massively today without needing huge armies of people or tons of capital up front. It's create once, sell infinitely. That's the modern leverage game.
Got it. Leverage amplifies judgment, but what fuels wealth creation alongside leverage? He mentions specific knowledge and accountability. Let's unpack specific knowledge. What is that exactly?
Okay, specific knowledge isn't stuff you just learn from a textbook or a course. If society can easily train someone else for it, well, you're replaceable, right? Your value gets competed down.
So it's deeper than a degree or a skill certificate.
Way deeper. It often comes from just following what you're genuinely curious about.
Yeah.
Things that feel like play to you, but look like work to others.
Oh, okay.
You usually learn it through doing maybe apprenticeships, not formal classes. It's often technical or creative, hard to automate or outsource. It's about leaning into what makes you uniquely you.
Can you give some examples? What might that look like?
Sure. He mentions things like maybe you're just incredibly good at sales instinctively, or you have real musical talent, maybe an obsessive personality that lets you master a niche.
Like knowing everything about sci-fi, he says.
Yeah, or understanding game theory deeply because you love games. Even being a great networker. Someone just knows how to connect people. It's that unique blend of your nature, your experiences, how you've responded to it all.
That really shifts the perspective. It's about finding your innate edge. Now, accountability, how does that fit in?
Accountability is about putting your name on the line, taking business risks publicly. Society rewards that risk-taking if you succeed, with responsibility, with equity, and with leverage.
Your skin in the game.
Exactly. When you own your outcomes, good or bad, you build credibility. People trust you more over the long run.
And he suggests the downside risk isn't as bad as we often think.
Especially in places like Silicon Valley. Yeah. Honest failure isn't necessarily career-ending anymore. The potential upside of taking ownership, of building something under your own name, often outweighs the social or even financial risk, which might not be as catastrophic as people fear.
Okay, specific knowledge, accountability, and leverage. And underpinning it all is judgment, which leverage magnifies. So how do we get better judgment?
Well, experience helps, obviously. But he argues you can speed it up by learning foundational stuff. He specifically calls out microeconomics, game theory, psychology, persuasion, ethics, math, computers.
Interesting that business itself isn't on that list.
Right, it's the underlying principles from these other fields that give you the mental tools for better decision-making in any context, including business.
Makes sense. Build the toolkit. He also has that interesting idea about valuing your time, setting an hourly rate.
Yeah, an aspirational one. Set it really high, almost uncomfortably high, then use it like a filter. If tackling some problem or doing some task isn't worth that hourly rate, ignore it, delegate it, automate it. If outsourcing costs less than your rate, outsource it. It forces you to protect your most valuable asset, your time.
And in a world where everyone's competing, how do you stand out? How do you apply all this?
Authenticity. He says, escape competition through authenticity. If you just copy others, you're fighting in a crowded space.
Right.
But if you build and market something that's genuinely you, your unique skills, your unique perspective, you create your own category, like Joe Rogan or Scott Adams. They're hard to copy because they're just being themselves, authentic.
Be yourself, but like professionally.
Yeah.
And the final ingredient for wealth building seems to be patience.
Oh yeah, huge. Even if you do everything right, specific knowledge, leverage, authenticity, building real wealth takes time. Lots of time.
It's not overnight.
Definitely not. He warns against obsessively tracking progress day to day. That just breeds impatience. It's a long game. Consistency wins.
Okay, fantastic insights on wealth. Let's shift gears slightly. Building wealth is one thing, but making good decisions along the way, managing life, that requires judgment. Naval really hammers this point, right? Judgment being underrated.
Absolutely. He thinks it's way more important than just working hard, especially once you have leverage. One good decision can outweigh years of hard work if the leverage is high enough.
How does he define wisdom versus judgment?
Wisdom is knowing the long-term consequences of your actions. Judgment is putting that wisdom into practice, making effective choices based on that long-term understanding.
He prefers the complement clear thinker over smart What's the difference there?
Being smart can sometimes mean you're good at complex mental gymnastics, maybe even rationalizing things. But being a clear thinker means you understand things from the ground up, the fundamentals.
Like Feynman explaining physics simply?
Exactly. If you truly understand something, you can explain it simply. Clear thinkers cut through the complexity to the core principles. If you can't explain it simply, maybe you don't get it deeply enough yourself.
And clear thinking requires facing reality, doesn't it? Even when it's uncomfortable.
Totally. Our desires, our biases, they cloud our view. We see what we want to see. He even suggests that suffering can be clarifying, forcing us to see things as they actually are, not as we wish they were. The ego is a huge barrier to seeing truth clearly.
To get that clarity, he recommends boredom, unscheduled time. That feels so countercultural.
It really does, but he insists it's crucial. Constant busyness, constant stimulation, it prevents deep thinking. You need that empty space, that boredom for your mind to wander, connect ideas, and generate real insights or make sound judgments.
So intentionally block out time just to think.
Yeah, essentially, don't schedule every minute. Let your mind breathe. That's where the good stuff often comes from.
Another fascinating idea is shedding identity. What does he mean by that?
We all build up these identities, right? Based on our jobs, our beliefs, our habits, they become part of who we are. But sometimes those identities, those habits, stop serving us. He says we need the ability to step back, examine them objectively, and be willing to let go of the parts that are holding us back from seeing reality or achieving our goals.
That requires some serious self-awareness.
Definitely. Constantly questioning, is this belief true? Is this habit helpful? Does this identity still fit?
Okay, so for making actual decisions, he offers some heuristics, some rules of thumb.
Yeah, he points to classical virtues as timeless decision guides. Honesty is huge, radical honesty, especially with yourself. And he likes Warren Buffett's rule: praise specifically, criticize generally.
Keeps things constructive.
Right. And two really practical ones. For big life choices, marriage, career changes, where to live, if you can't decide, the answer is no.
Why is that?
Because in a world of abundant options, a lukewarm yes is often a sign it's not right. You should feel a strong pull for the big things. And the other one, run uphill. If you're facing two paths, roughly equal, choose the one that seems harder or more painful in the short term. It often leads to better long-term results. Delayed gratification, basically.
He's also big on collecting mental models. Can you explain what those are?
Mental models are just core concepts or principles from different fields that help you understand how the world works. Think of them as tools in your thinking toolbox.
Like supply and demand in economics.
Exactly. That's a mental model. He suggests learning models from evolution, game theory, psychology, physics. Charlie Munger is famous for advocating this. They help you see the underlying patterns in situations, rather than just reacting to surface details.
And inversion, what's that technique?
Inversion is great. Instead of asking, how do I achieve success? You ask, what are all the ways I could fail?
And then avoid those things.
Precisely. By identifying and avoiding the causes of failure, you dramatically increase your chances of success. It's often easier to see what won't work.
Makes sense. And he mentions specific areas like complexity theory, economics, basic math.
Yeah, understanding that systems are often unpredictable, complexity, how incentives shape behavior, economics, especially micro and game theory, principal agent problems, having a good grasp of numbers and probability, math, stats, and recognizing the impact of rare but huge events, black swans. These all provide powerful lenses for viewing the world.
And finally, for building judgment, the foundation seems to be reading.
A love of reading, specifically. He thinks it's a superpower today because information is abundant, but the desire to learn deeply is scarce.
How do you cultivate that love?
Start with what you genuinely enjoy reading. Read until you love to read, whatever it is. Then you can branch out. Reread great books, you get more each time.
And note-taking.
It's personal, he says. His is quitter. The goal isn't just finishing books. It's understanding concepts you can actually use to predict outcomes. It's okay to skim or put a nonfiction book down once you get the main point.
Focus on fundamentals.
Yeah, especially science and math. And older problems often have timeless solutions. Just be selective about what you read. Garbage in, garbage out.
Right. Okay, we've covered wealth and judgment. Now let's get to the big one. Happiness. He starts with a powerful claim. Happiness is learned, it's a choice.
Yeah, it's pretty radical for some people. He argues it's not just luck of the draw or your circumstances. It's a skill, like getting fit. You can train yourself to be happier.
So our minds are malleable.
Exactly. We can change our default state. It involves choosing to let go of past baggage and actively cultivating habits of mind that lead to peace.
And presence is key to this, being in the now.
Absolutely central. He says happiness lives in the present moment. Desire pulls us out of the present, always wanting something else, somewhere else.
That quote, enlightenment is the space between your thoughts.
Right. Finding those gaps, that stillness, away from the constant mental chatter about past regrets or future worries. He warns against nexting, always looking to the next thing, which just fuels anxiety.
Happiness also requires peace, he says.
Yeah, inner peace, which comes from not having internal conflict, not having problems in your head. He suggests dropping the word should. It creates so much guilt.
And realizing life is a single-player game.
Right. Stop comparing. The comparison game, the multiplayer status game, is a recipe for unhappiness. Your journey is yours alone.
And this ties into his point that success doesn't buy happiness.
Exactly. It's a common delusion. We think, if I just achieve X, then I'll be happy. But external achievements rarely bring lasting internal peace. Happiness is an inside job.
And envy is the enemy of that.
Totally. Envy comes directly from comparing yourself in that multiplayer game. Focus on your own path, your own definition of success.
So if externals don't work, what does? He mentions habits.
Yes, building happiness through deliberate habits. Things like watching your intake of alcohol or sugar, limiting mind-numbing social media.
The 5 chimps theory, too.
Yeah, you become like the 5 people you spend the most time with. So choose your company wisely. Avoid negativity, avoid constant conflict. Surround yourself with peaceful, happy people.
And acceptance. That seems crucial but hard.
It is hard, but powerful. He gives 3 options for any situation. Change it, accept it, or leave it. Most misery, he thinks, comes from fighting reality when you can't change it or won't leave it.
Just accept.
Using accept as a kind of mantra can help release that resistance, that aversion, which is the source of so much suffering.
And finally, on happiness. Letting go of legacy. That feels counterintuitive too.
Yeah, he questions the drive to leave this grand, lasting mark. Given the vastness of time, everything eventually fades. Worrying about legacy pulls you out of the present where actual life and happiness happen.
Okay, let's move into the final sections. Saving yourself.
Yeah.
This sounds like it's about taking ultimate responsibility.
Exactly. At the end of the day, you are responsible for you. Your health, your wealth, your knowledge, your peace of mind. Nobody else can do it for you.
And part of that is choosing to be yourself, not trying to be someone else.
Right. Listen to that inner voice. We often try to fit molds, emulate others, but he believes everyone is uniquely good at something. Find that thing. Don't just copy, absorb, learn, then be intensely yourself.
Then there's choosing to care for yourself. The basics, like diet and exercise.
The absolute basics. Watching diet, he specifically mentions avoiding sugar-fat combos in processed food, moving your body, even just walking meetings. And that principle, easy choices, hard life, hard choices, easy life.
Doing the slightly harder thing now pays off later.
Precisely. Self-care often involves those harder, short-term choices.
Meditation comes up again here for mental strength.
He calls it intermittent fasting for the mind, a way to clear out the clutter, deal with unresolved stuff, build mental fitness. He mentions different types. Even things like cold showers, they build resilience, make you appreciate simple comforts.
Then choosing to build yourself. He calls the ability to change yourself a superpower.
It really is. Reflecting on past mistakes, like asking what advice you'd give your younger self, helps you learn. Habits are key for building. Act immediately when inspired, but be patient for the results.
And choosing to grow yourself, focusing on systems, not just goals, like Scott Adams talks about.
Yeah, create an environment where good things are likely to happen. Set up routines for success. Keep learning the fundamentals. Be okay with looking like a loser sometimes while you figure out your own path.
Updating your self-image helps too.
Hugely. If you see yourself as the kind of person who does X, it's easier than forcing yourself with willpower. And find what genuinely motivates you. Motivation isn't one size fits all.
Lastly, choosing to free yourself. What kind of freedom is he talking about?
It starts with the hard work of knowing what you actually want, realizing nobody really has it all figured out. There are no adults in that sense. Define your own path.
And it's more about internal freedom.
Yes, shifting from freedom to do anything, to freedom from things like negative reactions, anger, needing external validation, being tied to a job you hate, or just an uncontrolled monkey mind.
Getting control of your own thoughts.
Exactly. The mind should be your servant, not your master. Self-awareness is the ongoing work.
Okay, let's touch on his core philosophy. He tackles the meaning of life head on.
He does, offering a few angles. 1, it's personal. You have to find or create your own meaning through questioning. 2, maybe there is no inherent meaning, so you make your own.
And the third, scientific view.
That life is a temporary, local reversal of entropy, creating order in a universe tending towards disorder, ultimately accelerating the universe towards heat death. A cosmic perspective.
Wow, okay. And living by your values is critical for him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Know what you stand for and live it. He mentions his own. Truth, reason, peer relationships, no anger. Shared values are key for good relationships too. He quotes Munger. To find a worthy mate, be worthy of a worthy mate.
His own blend he calls rational Buddhism.
Yeah, basically using evolution to understand our nature and Buddhism for managing the internal state. Be skeptical, test everything, keep what works for you.
And it all comes back to presence.
Always. The present is all we have. That's the ultimate ground.
So wrapping this all up, this deep dive into Naval, we've seen his approach to wealth through unique skills and leverage.
Right, and the absolute necessity of clear thinking and good judgment to make it all work.
And then the internal journey that happiness isn't found outside, but built inside through acceptance, presence, and deliberate habits.
And all these pieces connect, don't they? It's a whole framework for thinking about how to live a more effective, more intentional, and hopefully a more peaceful life based on his insights in the Almanac.
So for you listening, as you process all this, maybe just reflect. Which one of these ideas really clicks with you right now?
Yeah, what's the one thing that made you pause?
And what's maybe one tiny thing you could do, starting today, to lean into that principle? Could be rethinking how you value your time, looking for leverage, or just trying 5 minutes of quiet observation.
And if you want more, definitely check out the Almanack of Naval Ravikant or find Naval online. There's a lot more depth there.
And that wraps up today's episode on the Almanack of Naval Ravikant. We've explored key takeaways, including the importance of owning income-generating assets, the value of long-term thinking, and the significance of nurturing relationships. Remember, personal growth starts with self-awareness and authenticity, leading to a more fulfilling life. We hope you found these insights as enlightening as we did. What do you think of this episode? Please share your honest opinion in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us for similar content every week. Thanks for tuning in to Insights Unlocked. Until next time, keep seeking wisdom and living intentionally.